Let me ask you something no one ever asks out loud. When the person you built your entire life around is suddenly gone, who exactly are you supposed to be now? Not who were you before, not who will you become someday. Right now, today, in that quiet house, with that empty chair, with that name no one calls you by anymore. Who are you? I am a woman in my 60s. I was married for 30 years. And when that marriage ended, I discovered something that shook me deeper than the divorce itself. I did not know the answer to that question. I want to talk about that today, honestly, without pretending it was anything other than what it was, because I believe you deserve to hear the truth of this spoken out loud, not softened, not cleaned up, just true. I need to say something before we go any further. What happens to a woman after a long marriage ends is not just sadness. Sadness would almost be easier. What actually happens is something closer to a complete unraveling of everything you thought you knew about yourself. For 30 years, I was a wife. That word held everything. It held my mornings and my evenings, my identity and my purpose, my place at every table and my reason for every decision I made. And when the marriage ended, that word did not just change. It disappeared. And I was left standing in a life that looked exactly like my life from the outside and felt completely unrecognizable from the inside. I have spoken to women who went through this and never told a single person how lost they truly felt. Not their children, not their closest friends, not anyone. Because there is a particular shame that comes with being a woman of a certain age who does not know who she is anymore. Like you are supposed to have figured that out by now. Like 60 years of living should have given you more solid ground to stand on. I want to say clearly and without any hesitation that there is no shame in this. None. What you are carrying is not weakness. It is the weight of a life that mattered deeply, and that weight deserves to be spoken about honestly. That is exactly what we are going to do today. I remember the exact morning it hit me. Not the day the marriage ended, not the day he left, not the day the paperwork was signed. A Tuesday, about 3 weeks after all of that. I woke up and the house was completely silent, and I lay there and I thought, this is it now. This is just what my life is. I had been holding myself together with the business of endings, the logistics, the phone calls, the paperwork, the explaining to people. And now all of that was finished, and the silence had moved in like it owned the place. I walked into the kitchen, and I did something I had done every single morning for 30 years without thinking. I made 2 cups of coffee. I stood there looking at that second cup for a long time, and something broke open in me that I had been keeping very carefully sealed. You may know the feeling I am describing, not the dramatic grief, not the loud falling apart, the quiet kind, the kind that finds you on a Tuesday morning over a cup of coffee that no one is coming to drink. That kitchen had been the center of everything for 3 decades. Homework at that table, holiday planning at that table, arguments and laughter and 30 years of ordinary life at that table. And now it was just a room, and I was just a woman standing in it, trying to remember who she was before the silence moved in. What I did not know yet was that the silence was not my enemy, but I was a long way from understanding that. I want to tell you something that I am not sure I have ever said this directly before. I had completely lost myself inside that marriage, and I had done it so gradually, so quietly, so willingly, that I had not even noticed it happening. I was not a weak woman. I want to be clear about that. I was capable and strong, and I had held that family together through things that would have broken other people. But somewhere along the way, I had made myself into a supporting role in my own life. His career came first. His needs shaped the calendar. His comfort set the temperature of every room we shared. And I had called that love. Some of it was love, but some of it was erasure. And the brutal gift of the marriage ending was that there was suddenly no one left to erase myself for. I remember sitting in front of a mirror about 6 weeks after everything ended and asking myself a question I had never once asked in 30 years. What do you actually want? Not what does the family need? Not what would make things easier for everyone else. What do you want? And I sat there in that silence, and I had no answer, not a single clear answer. I was 62 years old, and I did not know what I wanted. That moment cracked something open in me, and what came flooding through that crack was something I had not felt in a very long time. I believe you may have felt something exactly like this too. And what I found waiting underneath all of that not knowing is exactly what comes next. What comes next is the part of this story that almost no one ever says out loud. I had friends who loved me. I need to say that because what I am about to share is not about blame or bitterness. These were good women who had known me for years, and almost every single one of them responded to my grief in a way that made me feel more alone than the empty house did. Some of them arrived with plans, with ideas about trips I should take and hobbies I should start and ways I should fill the time. I understood what they were doing. Watching someone you love sit inside grief is deeply uncomfortable. Fixing feels like helping, but I did not need fixing. I needed someone to sit beside me and say, "This is hard, and I am not going anywhere, and you do not have to be okay yet." Almost no one said that. Some friendships simply faded after the marriage ended. Couples we had known for 20 years slowly disappeared from my life. Weekend invitations stopped coming. Dinner tables I had sat at for decades quietly closed. I was now a single woman in a world that had been constructed entirely around pairs. And I felt that with every empty Saturday evening, with every holiday that had to be reimagined from the ground up. The loneliness of that period was not only about missing him, it was about watching an entire world dissolve along with the marriage. And underneath all of that dissolving, something was beginning. Something I could not name yet, but could just barely feel at the edges. I am going to say something that I think many women in this situation are afraid to admit. The nights were not just hard. The nights were a different world entirely. During the day I could manage. I could move through the hours and find small reasons to keep going and hold myself together with the ordinary business of living. But the nights came anyway. And the nights stripped away every defense I had carefully constructed during the daylight hours. I would lie in that bed and feel the space beside me like an open wound. 30 years of another person's presence, 30 years of warmth and breathing, and the small unconscious sounds of someone else being alive in the same room. And now, just the dark. Just the weight of all that absence pressing down. I want to speak directly to anyone lying awake right now, in a bed that feels too large and a house that feels too quiet. There is nothing wrong with you. The grief of 30 years does not dissolve on a schedule. It does not check a calendar and decide when it has gone on long enough. It moves at its own pace through its own terrain, and all you can do is let it. I stopped fighting the nights at a certain point. I stopped telling myself I should be stronger, or further along, or more healed by now. And something shifted when I stopped fighting. Not immediately, not dramatically, just a small, almost invisible shift that I would only understand much later. The final pieces of this are the ones that took me the longest to understand, and they may be the most important ones of all. There was a morning about 9 months after the marriage ended. I woke up and I lay there in that quiet, and I felt something I had not felt before. Not happiness. I want to be careful about that word. Not peace exactly either. Something more like clarity. And what it showed me was this. I had been waiting every single day to feel like myself again. Waiting for the grief to finish so the real life could begin. Waiting for something to arrive and make everything make sense again. And on that morning, I understood that the waiting itself was what was keeping me frozen. I had been treating this life as a temporary situation, like a waiting room I was sitting in until the real appointment began. But this was not a waiting room. This was my life, right now, as it was, with all of its silence and all of its uncertainty and all of its terrifying and quietly beautiful open space. I did not leap to my feet that morning with some new sense of purpose. I want to be honest about what it actually looked like. It looked like a woman sitting up in bed in a quiet house and deciding in a very small and fragile way to stop looking over her shoulder, to stop waiting for something that was never going to come back, and to turn, just slightly, just barely, toward whatever was ahead. That small turning was everything. And what I found when I finally turned around will stay with me for the rest of my life. I have to be careful here because I do not want this to sound like a victory speech. It is not. What I learned from being alone after 30 years of marriage was not triumphant. It was quiet. It was slow. It was sometimes painful, even as it was happening. But it was real. I learned that I had been silencing myself for decades in ways so small I had never even registered them. The television channel I never got to choose. The restaurant I always deferred on. The opinion I softened before I spoke it so it would land more gently. Tiny surrenders. 1,000 of them across 30 years. And living alone gave me back every single one. I learned that I was capable of things I had convinced myself I was not. Handling finances I had never touched. Making decisions no one else weighed in on. Sitting inside uncertainty without needing someone to tell me it would be all right. I learned that my own company was not the punishment I had feared it would be, that the woman I had been folding away for 30 years was still there, a little quieter than she used to be, a little more careful with her words, but absolutely still there. And she had things to say that I had not let myself hear in a very long time. I am still listening to her. I think I will be for the rest of my life. Here is what I have never said to anyone as clearly as I am about to say it now. The marriage ending was not the worst thing that happened to me. The worst thing was realizing how much of myself I had quietly handed away inside it. Not in one dramatic moment, not because of one terrible decision. Slowly, willingly, with the best intentions in the world. I had loved that man. I had built a life with him. I had chosen that life with my whole heart. And somewhere inside that choosing, I had stopped choosing myself. I do not say this with anger. I say it with the kind of clear-eyed sorrow that only comes from standing on the other side of something and finally being able to see it whole. The divorce did not take 30 years from me. Those 30 years were mine. They were real. They held genuine love and genuine life and things I would not trade. But the divorce gave me something I did not know I had been missing. It gave me back the question I had stopped asking. Who are you? What do you want? What does your life look like when you stop building it around someone else? I am still answering those questions. I suspect I will be answering them for the rest of my life. And for the first time in a very long time, that does not frighten me. It feels, in the quietest and most unexpected way, like coming home. I do not know exactly where you are in your own story right now. Maybe you are standing at the very beginning of this, and everything still feels raw and impossible and too large to hold. Maybe you are somewhere in the middle of it, and you are tired in a way that sleep does not fix. Maybe you are further along than you expected to be, and you are just now beginning to breathe again. Wherever you are, I want you to know something. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too old or too tired or too far gone to find your way to yourself again. I know that because I was all of those things. And I am still here, still standing in my kitchen every morning, still making 1 cup of coffee now. And some mornings, just some, that single cup feels like exactly enough. I hope something in this conversation reached you today. I hope it gave you even one moment of feeling less alone in what you are carrying. That is all I was ever hoping for when I sat down to share this with you. You are still here, and that is not a small thing. That is everything. Before I go, there is something I want to say clearly. Everything I have shared in this video comes from personal experience and personal reflection only. It is not medical advice. It is not financial advice. It is not legal or psychological guidance of any kind. I am not a doctor, a therapist, a financial advisor, or a legal professional. I am simply someone who has lived through something and chosen to speak honestly about it. If you are facing serious challenges in any of these areas, please reach out to a qualified professional who can help you directly. The stories and reflections here are meant only to offer comfort, perspective, and a sense that you are not alone. Take what feels true to you, leave the rest. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for spending this time with me today. If something in this video stayed with you, I would be grateful if you subscribe to this channel. There are more stories coming, more honest conversations like this one. I would love for you to be part of it. Just press the subscribe button below. It means more than you know.